Hello everyone, welcome to the 5 Minutes Podcast. Today I'd like to continue the Spotify model podcast. Last week we discussed about the unique culture of Spotify. We discussed about the squads, how they have their autonomy, the self-organized team. They have a long-term mission and they are very motivated and independent. And I finished the podcast talking about alignment and autonomy. So this seems to be on opposite sides, right? If we imagine a line, in one side we have alignment and the other side we have autonomy. So if you want to have high autonomy, you will have to pay the price of low alignment because everybody will want to do whatever they want. On the other side, if you want to have a very strong alignment, you need to be the boss and people need to follow you. You tell them what to do and they have low autonomy. So how you can combine this? So the Spotify model tweak this line and propose a 2x2 matrix. In one side you have alignment, low and high. And on the other side you have autonomy, low and high. So if you have a group with low alignment and low autonomy, you are just micromanaging. So you are trying to control absolutely irrelevant things and things are completely misaligned. On the other side, if you have high alignment and low autonomy, means you come with the problem and you come with the solution. They gave a very nice example on the video talking about, look, we need to cross the river. And to do that, we'll build a bridge. So you are releasing and informing about the problem, but at the same time, informing about the solution. On the other side, if you have low alignment and strong autonomy, you may risk to have a Frankenstein. Why? Because people will be so autonomous that they will build a house, this I will put concrete, this one I will put bricks, this one will be drywall. And then when you try to put all together, you have no structure to sustain the house. So you produce something that will be a complete chaotic mess. So what they propose, they say, look, why we cannot do the following? The product team, the client, the customer, comes with the problem. We need to cross the river. And then let the squad decide what is the best way to cross the river. So did you see? And this is why, for example, all the planning process are completely optional. That someone can use Kanban, someone can use whatever, post-it notes, a wall. So people are not required to use, so no methodology. And how they create a methodology or how they create a Spotify model. They use what they call cross-pollination. And what is that? It's something like one squad start to do good things. Then other squads say, how did you manage that risk? So then the tools, the process, and the standards, they are not imposed. They just grow naturally by use. So it's a strong focus on people and their motivation. So people are independent to create and to find ways of solving the problem. And these squads, they are combined. So their organizational structure is quite different. So the squad is combined into tribes. The tribes work together, taking care of one piece of the product or one piece of the business. But you belong to a squad and also to what is called a chapter. A chapter is a way of grouping people with the same technical background. So developers, database experts, data scientists, they are together. And these chapters, they have a chapter leader that takes care, I would say, in a more career-based perspective, talking about development of career and this. And it's basically the chapter, something like more close to the traditional organizational structure. So you report to a chapter, but you work with a team in an independent squad. And they have another group that only supports collaboration. It's called the guild. The guild is a community. So you create different communities where people can join, anyone can join, and anyone can leave. It's an interest-based community. And this is the best way to share practices that will become natural standard. There is no standard or obligation to follow any process. People follow what makes sense for them. And when I say this, mostly for those working in other fields, because maybe what I'm saying, it's easier to be understood if you work in software development. But if you work in other areas, it's not very easy. But this model has one major feature that is not easy at all. They said that if you want to be agile and bring agility at organizational scale, you need to have trust at the scale. So the pillar for everything to work is exactly your ability to build trust. If you do not build trust, you will be in trouble, because without trust, you will have just a bunch of disconnected people working independently and the chaos will reign. So what they did, they have a minimum structure just to avoid complete chaos. But they give a massive freedom to people to decide the best way to approach. And they work this way. So it's a very fluid way of working, where trust is much more important than control. And they said one thing, just to finish this podcast, they said one thing that raised a lot my attention. They said, look, if you don't trust, why you hired him or her? So the basic component of hiring someone is trust. But when you trust someone, you need also to accept that at this speed and this, I would say, process-free environment, failure can happen. And in the next and final episode, I will talk about how Spotify and the Spotify model address failure, and how they work in a lean startup model to release fast and more decoupled features that will survive. And if they fail, they do not destroy everything. But this is the topic for next week's podcast. See you there.